You ever come across those dancers who can snap into a full split before you've finished your coffee, yet still complain about their tight hamstrings? Or the CrossFitter who can wrap themselves up like origami, but insist their shoulders are impossible to stretch? Yeah, that's not really tightness. That's your nervous system throwing major shade. Today, we're unmasking the mobility stability trap. Why does stretching alone sometimes keep you spinning your wheels instead of moving forward? As a physical therapist in the wild world of Broadway dancers, sweaty CrossFitters, and NYC urban athletes, I've seen every type. The dancer who can hit a split and practically high-five their foot, but collapses in a squat. And the lifter who stretches their shoulders religiously before every overhead press, but still feels locked up. Spoiler. Most of the time, it's not a flexibility issue, it's a stability problem. Let's break down what's really happening and how to train smarter. Ditch the infinite stretching and start building that functional stability. Welcome to Cue the Burn, where performance meets grit and recovery is just part of the show. I'm your host, Mark Lusk, manual physical therapist, former professional dancer, and lifelong athlete who's still chasing the fire well into my 50s. This podcast is all about the science, stories, and strategies that fuel high-performing bodies. Whether you're on stage, under a barbell, or navigating the grind of urban life, from injury prevention to mental resilience, we're diving deep into what it takes to stay strong, mobile, and ready for whatever role life casts you in. Cue the music, cue the lights, cue the burn. Let's go. You feel tight, so you stretch. Not much changes, so you double down and stretch more. Welcome to the stretch spiral of doom. But let's hit pause before busting out another yoga pose. Let's get clear on two VIP terms: hypermobility versus instability. Hypermobility is when your joints have an extra ticket to the flexibility party. It isn't just flexible, it's next level range, sometimes so much that your muscles are working overtime to hold things together. And instability is when a joint gets wobbly, way more motion than control. You might have normal general flexibility, but one rogue joint is getting sketchy. That's when your body slams the emergency brakes. Cue tight muscles to keep you safe. In both cases, tight muscles aren't always stiff, they're just being protective. Just because you're bendy doesn't mean your nervous system feels secure in that range. In the case of instability, your brain just doesn't always know what is happening at that joint. That positional sense is called proprioception, or your brain's understanding of where your body is in space. Here's my clinic mantra. With great range comes great responsibility. Almost some Peter Parker Spider-Man vibes here. That great responsibility is strength and motor control. You need to control every degree of motion, especially under load, CrossFitters. Otherwise, your brain keeps the doors locked. So, how do you know if your tightness is a mobility roadblock or a stability issue? Let's get hands-on with a few simple tests. The first is the toe touch test. Lie on your back, legs up. Can you reach your toes in this position but not standing? If so, you've got enough muscle length. The brain just doesn't trust you to manage it under gravity. Second would be a deep squat check. If your chest caves, knees drop inward, or you tuck your hips at the bottom of a deep squat, your stability software might be crashing in the hole. Finally, the single leg balance. Stand on one foot. If you're flailing more than a New Yorker on the subway, your brain's limiting your freedom due to wobbly control. Keep in mind here, poor balance can be due to many things, so any single test here is not indicative in and of itself. However, working with a PT in the clinic can help you with a more comprehensive assessment of your body and movement patterns. So, what do we do with that? Here's the real secret. Build stability before you chase more flexibility. First, we need to train hip and lumbar stability. Hips and lumbar spine are trouble zones for dancers and lifters alike. For the hips, try single leg Romanian deadlifts, lateral step downs or monster walks with a band to train dynamic single leg movements, and proprioception, that fancy word for joint position awareness. For the lumbar spine, try bird dogs, side planks, and bridge marches. These are all about controlling pelvic position and low back stability under tension. For CrossFitters with shoulder tightness, I love reach, roll, and lift. This is a great exercise not only for rotator cuff stabilization, but also training the low traps for scapular control. Number 2, use active elongation, not cookie cutter stretching. Active elongation, or reciprocal inhibition, does wonders. This is where we use one muscle to stretch the opposite muscle. For your hamstrings, engage your quads to extend the knee and lengthen the hamstrings instead of melting into a forward fold. For your hip flexors, squeeze those glutes as you push into extension. Get the opposite muscle to do the work. Try some active elongation for 2 weeks instead of passive stretching and notice the difference. Next, blend your mobility with strength. Goblet squats with an active pause at the bottom force you to own the movement at the end range. Controlled articular rotations, or CARs, really challenge your joints through their full range, with muscular control, not momentum. And bridge march and isometric holds add stability to mobility training. Remember, stretching without stability is like old underwear with elastic that's shot. Sure, the range is there, but don't expect it to stay put. Other go-tos. Again, tempo squats, which are eccentrics or negatives, with slowly lowering down into the bottom of your squat and then a controlled return to standing. Russian lunges, which is a reverse lunge to a high step, really helps to stabilize while moving through a whole range. And also planks with alternating leg lifts for core control. Use loaded mobility, some light weights or resistance bands to teach your body, hey, this range is safe. Or as I like to say, refresh the browser in your brain. Use this new range. So, in today's Burn Toolkit, some quick fire reminders. Test before you stretch. If you have the range lying down but not in standing, focus on stability. Hypermobility is global extra range. Instability is a single wobbly joint. Stabilize the hips and the lumbar spine. Those are the secret culprits for chronic tightness in a lot of athletes and dancers. Load your mobility. Add resistance to the range you're training. It doesn't need to be a lot, but you do need to own every degree of your range. Stretch less and stabilize more. Control comes first. Flexibility should come second. And finally, ditch the passive stretching for active elongation. Use opposing muscles for smarter gains. So, next time you're feeling tight and considering folding yourself into a pretzel, ask, do you really need more range or just better control of what you've already got? Your mobility isn't about how far you can go, it's how well you can own it. Stretch less, stabilize more. If stretching alone hasn't unlocked your moves, let's chat about what your body's really asking for. For my favorite 5-minute mobility stability flow, check out the episode's show notes. Train smarter, stabilize like a boss, and keep that burn working for you. I'm Mark Lusk at MVMT Physical Therapy, and this is Cue the Burn. As always, check out our social media at MVMTPT and our blog and website at www.mvmtpt.com for more information. Please subscribe, like, and review our podcast, and make sure you share it with your friends and colleagues. We'll see you on the next episode. I'm Mark Lusk at MVMT Physical Therapy, and this is Cue the Burn. As always, check out our social media at MVMTPT and our blog and website at mvmtpt.com. Please subscribe, like, and review our podcast, and make sure you share it with your friends and colleagues. See you on our next episode, and keep that fire burning.